Okay, 27.
Right, here's this one.
Yeah.
That one working?
No.
Yes. How about this one? No? Okay. Yeah.
Awesome.
Awesome, guys. Incredible. Morning. I love it. I don't even know if this is working. Is it? Okay, right on, right on. Well, thank you folks so much for being here today and being a part of today. We, I know, are all here to learn what we can about investing or how to become a better agent to investors, or just here to learn, right? So we're gonna go ahead and bring up our panelists. Come on up, guys. Just don't trip over all these passwords. Awesome. So here we've got Walter. Walter, I'm gonna pass the mic down so you guys can introduce yourselves.
All right. Good morning, everyone. My name is Walter Daniel. I'm a real estate agent here in the Bay Area.
And then what investments?
Oh, I have long-term investments out of state. Thank you. Happy to be here.
My name is Dan Cosgrove. I am managing partner of DNC LLC. I'm also CEO of another company called Mercantile Systems. On the LLC, that's where we hold the real estate. There we have about 45 single family, dual family, and triplexes throughout the US in 4 different states. And we're working on a 83 single family build to rent unit or complex in Oakley. Thank you.
My name is Jose Martinez, and I'm a general contractor here in the Bay Area. And we dip our feet in a little bit of everything. We do our own fix and flips here. We have some short-term rentals and some long-term rentals as well.
Amazing. Thank you guys so much. And we're just all gonna talk loudly or maybe pass the mic around.
Sure.
We'll just feel it out, see how it works, right? And then I'd love to invite our sponsors up here. Fairway, you guys come on up. Fairway, let's do that. I love. Okay, they have the same deal in mind, and I find it, so I was like, speed to respond. How speedy are they? I had a deal that was going pretty quick fast. They, within 23 hours, were able to get my client right back into where she needed to be. So truly, they are like superstar. Yeah. So who's gonna take the mic?
Mike. Yeah. So, well, my name is Michael. My name is Michael. With Fairway Mortgage. This is my team here. Jessica, Sergio, and Gabby. So, thank you guys for coming out. You guys have some great panelists here that can give you great information. And if there's anything you guys need for financing, we can do that. Okay, for either investment or primary with like a 3 or 4 unit property. Okay, so we'll be in the back. We have giveaways, little treats, and I hope you guys have a great time.
Shots later. Thank you, everybody, for joining us.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks, guys. Amazing. And I'm sure you guys saw the stage looks incredible today. That's because my stager set this up? I don't know how to make this look beautiful. She did. So Nikki, I'm gonna have you come on up and introduce yourself. Nikki is someone who I use exclusively for staging. Staging can make or break how properties look, right? And she, every single time, goes above and beyond, putting just the slightest little touch to make things really pop. So Nikki, if you can tell us a little about yourself.
Hi, everyone. For those of you who I didn't meet, I'm Nikki Brainerd, founder and designer of Open Sage Interiors. So as Cynthia said, we're a boutique staging redesign company based out of Concord. We specialize in vacant home staging and also short-term rental design. So we really are in tight with you guys. We are specifying everything from paint colors to light fixtures and finishes. We also procure and install decor and furnishings, really with the key in mind of getting our clients a higher occupancy rate or bringing in those really strong offers. And as you all know, I think everyone knows now the importance of staging now more than ever. But since we are talking about investing and successful investing, I wanted to leave you with a little relative tidbit. I just ran numbers for this year, and year to date, on average, our clients are seeing a $2,000 return for every every $100 they spend on staging. So with those results, it's really, staging should be part of just a standard procedure, just as important as strategic pricing and marketing. So super excited about the panel discussion today. Thank you guys. And yeah, my cars are at the front on the way out.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Someone take off the heat because it's toasty up here. It's a little what? I'm Cynthia Peters. Yeah. It's up here. You guys have not met me yet. Hi, I'm Cynthia Peterson, but you guys are not here to meet me. We're here to check out these panelists and see what they have to offer. The reason that we brought these guys together is because I was reaching out to investors by myself and saying, hey, can we meet up for coffee, for lunch? Like, can you tell me a little bit about what you do? And when I started talking to other people around me, they were saying, well, I want to find out too. How do I find out? How do I get to lunch with these guys? And I said, you know what, let's just come together. And so here we are today. So thank you all so much for being here. Let's go ahead and get started. And let's try the mic, try, see how it goes. All right, and then afterwards, you guys, we'll do a little Q&A session, because I know that you guys came here really wanting to learn and see how we can better ourselves. So, awesome. So let's start with you, Walt. How did you decide on the location of your rentals? Because you've got rentals all over, right? Yeah.
So the number one thing I looked at when I started is price and cost, right? So we all know living here in the Bay Area that housing is expensive. So my thought was, instead of spending, I don't know, $550,000 to $600,000 on a condo, maybe in Oakland or San Francisco, somewhere like that, I would go somewhere where it's a little cheaper. So my opinion, I think the best spots, and some of the gentlemen were talking about this earlier, are like the Midwest and the South, right? And the reason why is because we're here in California and we're used to like crazy prices, no contingency, $100,000 for list price, all that other good things that play here in California. In the Midwest and the certain parts of the South, they don't do that. It's like the price is $85,000, right? Because I've talked to my realtor, say, well, how much I did? Like, look at that, man, it's 85,000, it's 85,000. Okay, cool, I can do that. And also, people who live in an area are a little bit more price sensitive than someone who's coming from out of state, right? So if you get a counter offer in Mississippi, per se, and they say, okay, you need $3,000 more, we'll just do that, right? We're used to that here in California. Somebody who's from there, they're like, no, I'm not doing that. That's too much. My uncles, brothers, cousins, third daughter, sister, auntie lived there in 1923, and nobody should pay that for a house. So that was primary reason. Lower cost for repair, lower cost for property management, and lower cost of entry. So Midwest, South, love it.
Awesome, thank you.
Go ahead.
Same question.
Okay.
Yeah, I would love your.
So we started back around 2010, when everything collapsed, and we were buying houses for $100,000, renting for $1,200 to $1,500. So have you ever heard of the 1% rule, which I use it as I want to find a house price that gives me at least 1% rent per month. So if I buy $100,000 house, it means at least generate $1,000. So that's where I'm going to start before we look at anything. So we started buying in California and made it good, and then the market changed. So we need to start looking somewhere else. Real Wealth Network is the place that we were familiar with, and they had vetted out some other places. I also started looking up in Reno, Nevada. And so we started up there, we looked in Berkeley, we started buying houses up there because the numbers didn't work there anymore. Once that changed, because house prices started going up, but rents didn't, we started looking elsewhere. So we started looking in Texas, Dallas, and Houston. We settled on Dallas because a lot more Fortune 500 companies, a lot better opportunity for appreciation. So then we started there. That market changed, and we started looking elsewhere. And it wasn't until my son wanted to get into the industry, and I stopped kind of looking for single families. He said, he found Detroit, and like Detroit, we were buying houses for $40,000 for 8. So that's 2%. So when you start talking about those margins, too, you've really got a lot of flexibility in returns, in fix up and things like that. So it's really based around numbers. And like we talked about, it's California, you're just not going to find the numbers. I look on return on investment primarily, and then secondarily the market, which will provide appreciation. But I look at that as the cherry on top of this.
Amazing, thanks, Dan.
So just like everything that's just been said, primarily the Midwest, you know, for pricing, for short-term rentals, we base it off our cash on cash return. Also basically on strictly, we look at regulations as well, because a lot of cities, you know, especially with, you know, Airbnb and VRBO growing and going, everybody trying to enter the market. A lot of cities have implemented stricter regulations, limiting the amount of properties you can own in certain locations. So we really learn and devote ourselves to learn the regulations in the area, and then what tourist attractions are in the area. So it doesn't need to be exactly like, you know, like a Great America or something like that, but why are people going there? Like some of our properties are out in the Smoky Mountains, and people go out there in the woods. It's near, most of our clientele there are driving there. It's within a driving distance. So it's not like they have to plan a vacation where they have to fly across the country. A lot of people are local there. They know the area. They know what they're looking for, what they're going to spend there. And at the end of the day, it's all about the numbers as well, what our return is. And it's surprising when you look at how much money you put in out in the Midwest and what you would put here in California. And at the end of the day, the dollar amount that you would be receiving in returns is about the same. So your percentages would be a lot smaller here. In terms of long terms, we focus again, location. Like some of our properties in Akron, Ohio, are based off medical centers and universities to cater to the students and professionals.
That is amazing, you guys. Thank you. Such good info. You can keep that one right down there. Yeah. And actually, you touched, Jose, on something I wanted to make sure that we were all aware of is those rules and regulations. Where did you go to find out about them? Was it somewhere specifically that you always make sure you hit?
Yeah, we definitely have to talk to the cities or counties who govern the area, because every location is different. For example, in like Tahoe, you have to have a permit to be able to use STR, and every city, every location has a cap. So once they reach that cap, no more permits can be issued, and unless you do it illegally, you can't do it. And there's a lot of ways for them to find it, and then you end up getting fined, and shut down. So that's not fun.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. We don't want to start in this huge investment and get shut down halfway through. Yeah.
Correct.
Can you pass that down to Dan? Dan, is your mic working? Let's check that one. Yeah, so Walt, there you go. You're set. All right, awesome. Thanks, guys. That is such good info to know. And I know that we do have quite a few realtors out in the audience today.
Well, for you, as far as finding that realtor, and I would love to find out from each of you, are you licensed in these states? Do you partner with a realtor? How do you find that one agent who's really looking out for you? And what are you looking for in that agent?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I found my realtor on Zillow. We're all familiar with Zillow. Called the first person, he or she didn't answer, called the second person down, he answered. But what's important to me is, are they an investor as well? So they know about it. They have skin in the game. It's hard to pick somebody and trust somebody out of state if they're not doing the same thing you're doing, not believing in the philosophy you have for managing your money and investing your money. So that also responsiveness is key. Like, hey, I see a house on Zillow, it's $60,000. Can you go down there today? I'm not saying you have to drop everything today, but you damn sure better be there tomorrow, right? Because I'm looking to form a relationship with you. I'm gonna buy and sell with you, and I'm hoping to continue this business on and on and on. So as we know, as realtors, if someone's gonna buy 10 properties with you, say their lifetime, that's a hell of a customer. And they're gonna refer you out. So responsiveness, number one, and I tried a few, they just didn't respond. They thought I was joking, like, hey, I want to invest, and didn't take it seriously. And also, when you go to town, meet with your realtor, even if you've already called, say, hey, what's going on over here? Because what I found that in other parts of the country, realtors information is held a little bit tighter in other parts of the country than it is here. The Bay, we're like, hey, whatever, it's online, we're very technologically focused, but small town Indiana, it's Bob with the keys and all the old school realtors hanging out in the office and all that shit. That's the way it is in certain parts of the country, right? And some people call it good old boy network, but it is what it is, right? So you have to find somebody who's going to advocate for you and can respond and will really look out for your best interest. Also, one more thing, and I'll shut up. Someone that will tell you no too. Like, I've seen stuff to my realtor, like, dude, this is a great deal, cash on cash. No, dude, there's a trap house over there. Like, nah, you're bullshit. For real, I'm ready to sell, buy some short. It's like, do not do that. So don't pick somebody who's going to say yes to all your ideas. You're not growing that way, and you're gonna get yourself in trouble. And I've done that before. So
Thank you, that's great.
What we do is we go to the market, we look at the property management company first. So we're gonna vet them out because that's what we find is the key to success. If you don't have a good property management company, one of the reasons why we haven't gone into Cleveland, which we like Cleveland a lot, is because we can't find a good property manager. But with that being said, the property management company will either have realtors on board or turn us on to other realtors. Now, this might not be favorable to the realtors of the audience, but I'm suggesting to any of the people that I'm advising how to invest, call every damn realtor in the book and tell them, what, I'm not gonna go exclusive with you, but if you got a property and you want to sell it to me, I'll buy it, you double the deal. I don't care. Because quite frankly, the realtor's gonna be more excited to double the deal because they're gonna make more profit and they're gonna know the buyer, right? Because you want the realtor to know the buyer, so they know what the deal is that's going on in the background. That's where you find the deal. Now, your property management company is gonna have the better deals because they're gonna have a portfolio of properties that they're gonna want to because they're gonna have investors that are saying, I've got to get rid of this property, sell it. And I can't sell it for market rate because I've got a renter in there. I need an investor. And that's a different ballgame. So but don't be afraid to use, a lot of different realtors. You will find eventually one that you love and that knows their stuff. And I have a realtor in Texas, one in Nevada. And when they go to a property, I don't even have to look at it. The conversation goes like this. Dan, I got a property. I say how much, they say X. I say how much rent, they say Y. I say Y. And that's all we have. And I'll say how much you got to put into it. They'll say 20, 30 grand, whatever, we buy it. Because they know floors, roofs, they know all the big things that we have to look at. And that's what I need to know is those big things. And so a realtor that knows those nuances and understands some basic construction skills is going to go a long way.
Incredible, thank you.
Yeah, so what we look into in our realtors as well is that they, as best as possible for them to be investors. They're not all going to be investors, and especially like Walt said, you're going to make a ton of phone calls. All of them are not going to answer. So even though they're not investors, as long as they're investor friendly. What I mean about being investor friendly is them knowing their numbers, understanding what our margins need to be, what our numbers need to be, what we're planning on doing with the property that we're looking for, be able to give them like a criteria that we're looking for, and then willing to do the work, because that's another thing as well. A lot of them, sometimes there's a listing agent, you reach out, you get a hold of it, but it doesn't work out. And then again, you make that communication with them, you let them know that you're looking to buy and you're serious. So they go out there, they do the legwork, they come back to you and say, hey, I have these properties, or I know X, Y, and Z who have these properties available. So it's developing that relationship. And at the end of the day, it's putting in that legwork. Because a lot of times, you know, as investors, you're not always gonna make offers at the list price or above like we do here. We're gonna come underneath, and they have to do the work to explain to the person selling the property the reasons why we're providing that number.
Amazing. Okay, wow, I just learned a ton. No, go ahead.
And also, like I was saying, some of that, like, good old whatever stuff, ask that person, are they any use? You know, more, it's a big deal here, but it's a really big deal in these smaller towns, like, are you the vice president, the president of this board, or this association, or that? Because they get the information, right? So that's another question you may want to ask, and they're gonna have the inside scoop on stuff, and the off markets and all that stuff, they're gonna know.
Wow, that's huge, you guys. So being a part, actually being a part of where people are at, it sounds like it's critical. Interesting, because so good to know. I'm curious, long-term, short-term, let's start with you, Dan. What was it that made you decide which way to go?
Primarily because I'm in the business, so that takes a lot of my time. You know, real estate doesn't take a lot of time. It takes some effort and some work, but it's not so demanding as other types of things. I was always long-term. Also, I was buying money. So when we started buying in the downturn, interest rates kept dropping. So I'm like, oh my God, we're buying 30-year fixed loans at 3.5%. I'll buy them all day. Because I'm essentially in the end, almost getting free money when you take out property tax, insurance, depreciation, and almost comes to zero. So I'm buying money. So I took as many loans as I could. I come to find out that you can get up to 10 single-family loans under your name. A lot of times bankers don't even use that. So I bought 10 in my name, 10 in my wife's name. I'm buying. So that's what I was doing. So always long-term because it was just the model that we put together.
Okay, great. And how about for you, Jose? What was your deciding factor between long-term and short-term?
So we're a little bit of everything, so different decisions. In the long term, it was actually our primary home here in California. So when we decided to upgrade and move, again, with interest rates being low, we were able to capitalize on that, keep that property, and it actually being our highest cash flow versus comparing it with anything else that we own. Because we bought about 9 years ago when prices were much lower, and we hold so we have 2 sets of tenants there. So it's actually technically it's a single family that had a garage conversion. So it just made sense to hold it versus selling, paying taxes and everything there and moving on. With our short-term rentals, it's more work than having an LTR, but it's having that buy box, you know, having that criteria that we have to meet, and it gives you a higher return when you're looking in the same area versus a single family home. You put in more work, but we're looking at about 30 to 45 return for our initial investment on our cash and cash. And then lastly, fix and flips, being a general contractor here in the Bay Area, I have a leg up on other flippers because I have the crews. So we purchased a home. I said one of my crews to do the work, and then I saved the market cost that I will be paying a contractor to do the work. So if any of you guys are doing flips in the area and need help, talk to me.
Yeah, I love that. I was just getting ready to say, now we've got someone we can talk to about it. Love it. How about for you, Paul? What's your deciding factor?
Nothing really as elegant as Timberman. Like, I tried a short-term rental in near Savannah. It was horrible. It was horrible. And I didn't like the volatility of it. I wanted something more slow and steady. When I started, I was transitioning from another career, and I was looking at how am I going to replace this income from my other career. So I like the month to month, 1,000, 11, 1,200, back then $600, $700 a month versus, you look at vacation rental, oh, well, it's the winter, so no one's gonna rent here in the summer. I just don't have the temperament, and my significant other definitely doesn't. And, that's just kind of what I thought. You gotta know who you are, right? And when I had a short term in Savannah, it was stressing me out. Gotta keep the cable on, the mortgage sales coming, gotta clean it. The golf tournament's coming. Well, damn, nobody came for the damn golf tournament. Now I don't have any money. I just don't have it. Sorry, it's not as fancy, but you gotta know who you are, the bottom line. And I just know that my temperament.
I appreciate the honesty, right? We gotta know who we are. And I think that that goes to say, figure that out first, know what you want to do first. It seems like investments is not real estate investments is not something where we can really throw the spaghetti in the wall and hope it sticks, right? You gotta really know what you're doing, and it's not just a hope and pray type thing. Yeah.
I think you can start small. Robert Kiyosaki said, small deal, big deal, right? So you can start small, like my son and some of his buddies now got in Detroit, $40,000 investment, 20% down, 30% down. It's not going to kill you. If it goes away, so big deal. You learn temperament, right? How thick is your skin? Can you deal with it? Detroit's going to teach you that. And you get to see it, and this works for me. I like it. Let me go to the next one. Let me work out the kinks. Like when they did their first deal, they realized that realtor didn't write in that they're supposed to get the security deposit back from the tenant. Well, it was like $1,300, and so these guys have a ton of money. They're like, oh my god. And so it's like they learn that stuff. So you're going to make mistakes. Be okay with that. Do them small, and then do them frequent, and then keep learning, and then work up. Like you're not going to jump into big just because you got a lot of money. It's not. So don't be scared. Get your shit. And then if you don't like it, don't say it, because it's gonna.
No, go ahead.
So I did the opposite. I went big. So check it out. I'm like 26. I'm in the Coast Guard. So 06, 07, right? You gotta buy a house. If you don't buy a house, like you're a damn pumpkin, you're the worst in the world. I gotta buy a house. So this is back when a lot of young gray hairs remember this. I don't even know how much you make. Just sign this and I'll give you a mortgage. Okay. A mortgage officer and a realtor are the same person. Dumb. Okay, yeah, cool. So then it's like, we gotta buy another one. So I bought number 2, right? Then my dad's like, oh, Jennifer and J-Lo and Ben Affleck are moving to Savannah. We gotta buy a property here. Okay, that's 3 properties, right? Okay, property number 1, the tenant doesn't pay. Property number 2, of course, I had a bigger house, had 26 years old. 1 income, wife's in nursing school, done, right? So now I have this mortgage over here, I got the new mortgage, and then of course, the golf tournament ain't coming to Savannah, right? So I agree, start small. Then I said to myself, when I do it again, I'm gonna start small and I'm not gonna get too aggressive. Like, you need to be a little aggressive because you're in business, but don't be too aggressive and really sleep and think on it. But you're gonna have haters, so don't tell everybody your vision. Because I remember my folks were like, oh my God, this crackhead over there. Why don't you pay $45,000 for a house? And those houses have done very well. So you got to find that balance between the two, right? But yeah, start small. I agree. Think about it like this thing total jacks up. Am I going to be okay? Is it going to affect my life? It's going to affect my kids. Then go for it. You're going to make mistakes. So yeah, small and big. Don't go big, small.
I love that. Let's stay on this for a minute. What is small? I actually had someone on Instagram. I did a poll, and one of the folks here asked, what is the smallest amount that I need in order to start an investment? Where did you start? If it was small, what was that? What do you guys think? What's the smallest amount that you would need to start investing? And anyone.
Well, if I was asked that question, I'd say, what kind of return on investment are you looking at on the money that you have to invest? Right? And don't have this money that's going to change your lifestyle, like Walt said. So if you say I've got 20 grand, where can 20 grand buy? Now, I'll also say, don't go into a market trying to buy one and then jump to another. Like that's going to kill you. Like my philosophy is go to a market where you can eventually buy 10. Because it's going to make sense when you have to fly out there. It's going to make sense with the property manager. It's going to make sense because you're going to gain knowledge in that market. So, look at what resources you have. It's not going to change your lifestyle that you can put into it. And then start saying, where is that market that makes sense, right? Don't worry about being out of state. You're not going to do it in California. California is not going to return. You're not going to buy a house anywhere in California is going to give you any return. You're going to go sheerly off appreciation, and that's effective. Might want to do that, that's fine, it's just not my style. So you look at that, so you can go as low as probably one of the lower places is where we're at is in the short area. If you test your skin and you can get houses we're selling, some of the ones we bought for 60, 70 grand. You can still find some in the 50 range. Give you an idea, the property manager we deal with now, he has 3,500 doors that he manages. When he bought his first 80 doors, he paid $800 to $1,000. So that's the difference in Detroit. I can fix them up. Those houses today are over 60 or 70,000. So you can still find markets like that, and it has some good appreciation potential.
Great advice. Either of you?
I think first you have to ask yourself, where are you gonna go with it? And what's your target? Because I think you can start with no money down, but you know, it's gonna take a little bit more work, but you just need to find a partner with it. So that's why I say, where do you want to go with it? Because you got to be able to explain it to that person. You got to find that person that has the funding to purchase the property. You know, you have to be, basically, you got to be able to sell yourself. You have to, if you have to do all the legwork. So you have to find the properties. You got to show that the numbers are going to work. You got to create the teams, you know, the property managers, find the property managers, say for like short-term rentals. You got to build your team with like handyman, cleaners, everybody that's going to keep the business running on a day-to-day basis. And then you also have to, when speaking to the numbers, show it how it's going to work and how you guys are going to decide to divide up the money. So, and what your plan is, what your goal for the next couple of years is. Do you have a 3-year goal, a 5-year goal, a 10-year goal? Are you going to continue to focus in that market and grow it? Is it something that you are going to wait and expect appreciation and take the cash flow that you're getting at the moment, and then at the end of the day, upgrade, sell it, and buy, just get something larger that's going to bring you bigger returns? So at the end of the day, as long as you create find the network, go to events like this, you will meet investors, and it's just finding the right one that's willing to go into business with you.
Interesting. They go into business with you. Let's stay here for a minute. So as far as finding other investors to go in with you, how does one even start that? And I'm gonna switch you mics because I think yours is messing up a little bit, but let's stay with you. There you go. How do you find these folks to go in on properties with you?
So like I said, going to events, go to real estate events, go to investor meetups. You see them on social media, people posting them all the time. Attend there, even if it's a real estate event, you'll find lenders and other investors there that are there to learn. And everybody has some type of reserves, and it's just how much everybody's willing to put in. I'm joining masterminds and other groups. I'm part of a group called Future Flipper. We have our own small community. I've gone out to the quarterly events that they hold in Vegas. They have speakers. So it's just attending those events, introducing yourself to people, letting them know what you're doing, what your plans are. And people become interested. They want to know what you're doing, what your plans are, what you've done, what you have accomplished. And that way somebody will find it, see it in you, and then they'll want to partner up with you and continue to help you succeed, because a lot of the times some of the investors don't have the time or knowledge to do it themselves. So they're looking on how they can make it passive for themselves. And that's why I'm saying you have to find somebody with the money, but you have to do the legwork. Once you sell them on the numbers, on the legwork, on your plan, then they'll be like, okay, here you go. I have 50, 80, 100,000 that I want to invest. I've done that with some of my flips, through the community. When I first joined, I threw it out there. Hey, I'm a general contractor in the Bay Area. The market, everybody knows how the market is out here. I'm looking for people to partner up. Here's my Instagram. I primarily do the work here. I'm going to put my crews to do the work for us. And then I just have people start messaging. I met up, I coffee with some, invited them onto our job sites. They walked the properties, they liked it. They said, you know what, I'm in. I have so much money. And then we just started looking for that right property to fix and flip.
Amazing. Thank you for that. Let's go down the line, gentlemen.
It's great you brought that up because that's exactly how we got to where we are today. We started, my wife and I, in buying properties in 2010, and we ran out of money because we bought 2 or 3 or so here in California, the numbers were. And I'm like, man, I want to keep buying. So I had a longtime client mentor. I brought him the idea. I said, listen, what if we do this? You give me 125,000, roll with 25,000, it would be 50-50 partners, and all the local work. Find a house, buy it, fix it, rent it, take a loan on it, do the same thing, and then do the same thing. And he's like, all right, man. And so that's how we started. And then that took him and us from California. We did the same thing, Nevada, Texas, Detroit. And he's the same guy that we're doing now, this 83 single family home development in Oakley. That's $25 million. So when I talk small, big, I mean, we went small, and that's that relationship, because he's got the resources, I've got the time and knowledge, and that's what they need, just like Jose said, and that's, you'll find on it. But bring good numbers, bring solid information to it, because they places to park money with good people.
Amazing. Thank you. And how about for you, Wilton? I know, I saw you over here side-eyeing.
Love y'all, but it didn't work out for me. No, I tried a couple times, so that thing isn't bad, that was my dad, that didn't work out. Yeah, it just, I'm a little bit more of a, I guess you can say, control freak on stuff like that, and I'll tell you the other side of it, the bad side of it, you know, how many people have heard of the 3 Ds? Death, divorce, and drugs, right? So you can get in a partnership with somebody, but like, y'all are like kind of on a bigger scale, but like the stuff that I was trying to do, I ran in all of those. Like, well, my wife doesn't want it anymore, we need to sell it. Well, hey man, I want to sell it because I just got married. Well, I ain't ready to sell it yet. Shit. Now my wife wants a house and I got 175,000 tied up in something else. I'm just not a big fan, even with family, watch a family too. But if you are going to do it, I would say, just like the gentleman said, make sure you have everything clear, like clear to the point if somebody random pick up that piece of paper, they will understand what's going on. Because there's no assumptions, there's no like, oh, that's my boy, or that's my homie, that's, you know, my sister, my brother, my uncle. Everybody's uncle and cousin's brother has a great idea for your money and your time, right? So it just, for our family, it didn't work. And you know, it's about, like I said earlier, like I know who I am and I know like kind of how our relationship works, and that wouldn't work, me and my wife. Drive me nuts. Be like, where's the money? Where's the money? Where's the money? You know, like I would probably do it because I think I can get my way out of it. But you know, you just gotta know who you are. That's the bottom line. But you know, hey, that's awesome. Like I just didn't find anybody yet.
Not yet, maybe, huh? Angela's back here.
We gotta talk about this. 'Cause yeah, a couple times I tried to do it, I wasn't feeling it. All right, we'll chat.
Love it. I love it. This is amazing, you guys. So 2 last questions, and then I want to hear from you guys some of your questions too. So again, for the panel, for each of you guys, what is the best advice someone gave you when you were first getting started? And what is the worst advice you've ever heard about investing? Best and worst, let's hear it. Anyone feel free to go ahead and take it.
So the best, I got some advice. You know, I was just started out and I was like asking my parents, asking people, like, no, don't do it, don't do it, don't. He goes, listen, man, if you do it, who's going to have to pay the consequences? Me. He goes, well, just fucking do it. You know what I mean? So believe in yourself, believe in your numbers. That was the best advice I got, because I was really hesitant about it, because you naturally go to older people and like they're going to tell you bad things about areas and things of that sort. The worst. I'll pass it. All
right.
I'll start with the worst, I think, was the scare things, you know, all the fears of tenants tearing up your places and all the things that could go wrong. And will it happen? Absolutely. I mean, I've had fires, I've had floods, I've had fires and floods. In Texas, if you don't stake or poles down your fences with metal, when the hurricane comes, it'll fly the wood around and pierce people to the heart. So you hear all this and it can just paralyze you. Is things gonna happen? Yeah, but you know, you judge your skin and go from there and you realize it's worth the push through. Probably one of the best advice, I don't know whose advice, but I remember years ago, I had this client, we started investing. And I was doing some other work for her business, and I found out that she had 50 homes in Silicon Valley, and she was a realtor. And her name was Catherine, and I said, Catherine. And she rented the house she lived in. And I went, I don't get this, Catherine, you own 50 houses, why did you rent that? She lived in. And she says, because it doesn't make sense to own that house she lived in. When the water heater goes out, I call it. When the roof goes out, I call it. It's not an investment. Your own individual house, contrary to market, probably isn't an investment. Now, I'm not saying love something else, but it made me think different. Like, wow, that's interesting. I always thought, oh, well, comes first, that's the investment. Why is that not an investment? It got me thinking, what is an investment? What is an asset? What is return? All those numbers. So it was that thing that she said that got me started to really thinking.
Amazing. Thank you.
I'll start with the worst as well, and it was, don't invest out of state. Just having uncles, aunts, family that own properties here in California and here in the Bay Area. It's like, oh, if you own in a different state, what if something goes wrong? What are you gonna do? And, you know, you sit back and think about it. If something goes wrong here on property you own here, what are you gonna do? Are you gonna go fix it? I'm a general contractor and I'm gonna tell you, I don't go fix it myself. I call my employees or I call, a subcontractor, a plumber, an HVAC guy. Hey, there's something wrong at this property, I need to go fix it. So what are you gonna do if something goes wrong in a different state? Either you or your property manager are gonna call a contractor to go fix it. It's nothing different, but it's the scare that people have of the unknown and what can happen. And that they haven't gone through it, they haven't invested, and it's just an opinion they have, and you just gotta learn to, pick and choose what opinions you take and make a decision based off of those. The best thing you could say is being told, don't be scared, get started. Don't get analysis paralysis on whatever you're doing. Don't overthink it. Run your numbers, be solid. You build your buy box on what you're doing and go for it. If it meets it, you analyze it a couple of times. Don't hesitate, because at the end of the day, if it's a good deal, somebody else is going to see it, especially if it's out on Zillow, and it's going to go pending the next day when you decide to pull the trigger.
Yeah. Did you think of the worst or no?
Yeah, I think it's similar to Jose, like same thing, what people were telling me out of state. I think some of that is generational, like, just like my dad's 40, I'm 43, my dad's like 70 something. So back in that day, they didn't fix his house. So it's wrong, you're gonna fix total bullshit. I'll pay somebody else to do it, right? So that was something that people told me. It's like, no, and I was like scared about that. And it's like, well, the property manager emails you, they say it's $100, they deduct it out of the rent, you write it off on your taxes, it's done. And one more thing, like a rental house is not your house. Like, I think a lot of people get caught up in like, well, the carpet's messed up, change the carpet. Oh, it needs painting. Hey, it's not your house. You're trying to invest. And what you see as a bad property, somebody would love it as a rental. It is their home. So you kind of have to take the emotion out of it sometimes. And, you take certain people with you to go look at properties, they're looking at it like you're going to live there, but you're not going to live there. You're investing. And you got to think about it as a business. It's a business. It's not personal. The person's going to rent the house. And we've all rented houses and we understand it as well. So yeah, just take the personal.
Got it. Take the personal, the emotion out of it. Okay, I love this. Dan, before we move on to questions, you also lease commercial properties. Can you tell us in a couple moments here, what does that look like differing from residential? How big of a difference is it? Should we look at commercial as well as residential when we're first getting started?
Yeah, commercial, you're jumping into the deep end. There's a lot that goes on. So, I knew this question, so I took a few notes. Let me read through those.
Yeah.
Because I think a little more concise and give you an understanding of what you might be in for, and then certainly ask questions. So let me.
Some good stuff here, you guys, right? Like really.
So when you talk commercial, people think commercial like this. The commercial technically is roughly 5 units or more. It could be a 5-unit multifamily or more. It's basically a loan. It's a commercial style loan. Could be a block of single family homes. So you can take a whole bunch of single families, package them up and make it a commercial deal. It could be a multifamily apartment building, could be a retail, could be office buildings, which are some good opportunities right now because you know, they're moving out of offices. So deals are there, but you got to not pay hard. Industrial, very hot, light industrial. The other thing is understanding terms like cap rate, DSCR, which is debt service coverage ratio, CAMs, triple net, pro forma. And then understanding these markets, you know, really understanding what's out there. Find a great agent. Okay, this isn't an area where I'd say find a whole bunch of commercial agents. Find a great one, and you'll know when you find a great one. They might invest, they might not, but they'll know the market. Find a great property manager, find a good lawyer, a good broker. Lending operates different on commercial. When you're buying single family homes, look at your debt to income ratio, yada, yada, yada. On commercial, it's based on property performance. It's how the property performs is how much they're gonna loan. And so it takes a whole different unit. Here's the exciting thing when you talk about commercial. Let's take an apartment, 50-unit apartment. Let's say you increase that rent per unit by $20 per month. It's not a big deal. Tomorrow, if you bought that building, you could probably raise it at $20. The nuisance raise, no one's probably going to. So that's going to be $1,000 a month gross increase, $12,000 a year. Use a 10 times multiplier to figure out the new value of the building. You just increase that value by $120,000 by raising rents $20. Multi-units and things like that offer a different type of environment. But you know, that's kind of what I mean with commercial. It's a different animal entirely. It's fun. I have a client that has, and a mentor that's a ton of commercial. He has a buddy that has a ton of houses. I think thousands of houses. He envies his buddy for the houses because the commercial creates a lot of headaches. The last thing people are going to pay is their mortgage or their rent. The thing they're going to stop paying is their commercial lease because it's this and that. Doesn't mean it's don't go there. It's just different and it's a completely different model and understanding, but it can be very
Amazing, thank you. So who has questions? I'll go around with the microphone so that we can all hear them really clearly, and don't be afraid of the microphone. You're not on stage, you're good. So who has questions that they wanted to ask? Anyone? Okay, 2 questions. Can I borrow your mic? Sure. All right, here we go. Coming down. So if you can tell us your name.
Do you see any pressure on cap rates now that interest rates have gone from, 0 to what we like a normal, normal environment by regular standards, but, pricing 4% cap rates and trying to get that in the market, do you see any change in the headwinds in the commercial world?
Yeah, so he's asking cap rates. Cap rates is the term you use when you evaluate a commercial property. Basically, net operating income divided by the price of the building. $1 million building, it generates $100,000 a year in net operating income, 10%, right? 10%. Cap rates in the prime, we're talking 6-7 months ago, were 2-3%, really low. I mean, you're getting no money, but you weren't getting any money in your bank account either. So he's asking, are we seeing pressure in cap rates going up? And yeah, you are. You're seeing your multifamily not so much because that's hot. We got a housing situation that we're not going to see much there. But on commercial, I'm seeing cap rates going up. I'm seeing cap rates in the 6s and 7s where I never saw that. I do scour the country for it. We do look in this area a lot as well. So you're definitely seeing movement pressure. Obviously, money is more expensive. It's hard to come by. Pushing on returns, so they got to try and do it. And it's just economics. All this stuff is economics. It goes this way, it's going to come in this way. And people will say, well, our property's going to go up. I can guarantee you that. Are they going to go down? I can guarantee you. And
so what are some tips that you have for vetting? So that was Gabrielle, the birthday girl.
I would call 2 or 3. I would also ask, similar like we do, ask for some referrals. Say, can you give me the name of 1 or 2 people you're working with And they will, if they're legit, they'll give you some information. The property manager is key. It is so key to running your business because, oh, and another thing. I forgot. So the property manager is important, but let me take a step away from a little bit. Also look at the loans if you're doing residential in the areas you want to invest. Okay, so if you invest in Oakland, okay, the person's gonna have more rights as a tenant. Now we're talking 6, 8, 9, 10 months, lawyers, court fees, cash for keys, all that stuff. In the good old South, it ain't like that, all right? It's like, oh, you didn't pay May 1st, letter on the 5th, probably another one on the 20th. By the 1st of June, it's like legit, the sheriff's like, get out, your shit's gonna be on the side street. As an investor, that's good because you want to keep your, I know it's hard. I hate evicting people, I've done it, but you need to keep your business going and keep rents coming into your house. You know, not having someone in your property losing money every month, right? So the property manager and also do a good job of researching the tenant landlord laws because a house in Oakland, we might be a year without including a house in Alabama. If we turn it over in 45 days, probably. So yeah, property managers are key to your business. You know, they have to hire people, the marketing, the management, they manage your cash flow, they help with taxes at the end of the year. So property manager, call 2 or 3. I would definitely, that's probably your first step when you think about an area. You gotta have that. It's very
Amazing. Okay, great question about property management.
I heard you say, look at it, you bought 9 years ago, 26, back in 2000. Are you in the market today? Are you still buying today? So you're starting off, recommend this starting right now. You just went 27.
Yes. Yeah, I would say we recently just closed on a duplex out in Ohio, about a month ago. So it all leads back to, you know, the economics and the numbers. Running your numbers, making sure it works for what you're looking to do. You can still find deals out there. It takes a little bit longer, but they're still out there. And then again, there's so much to learn with real estate. And there's different ways to approach it. So, and just like I said earlier, that you may need no money down. There's different ways on, you know, getting lower interest rates. You can cut out the lenders and banks, you know, and not, you know, whether it's your personal name or whether you have a company or anything like that. There's deals where, you know, they're called like sub-2 deals and other stuff like that, where you deal directly with the property owners. And again, it's educating the real estate agent and educating them, and you can negotiate better rates there. You save money on, you know, origination cost and all of that. So at the end of the day, it's just educating them. You're giving them what, 10, 15, 20% down, whatever you negotiate with them. You negotiate the terms, the rates, the interest rates you want to do. And usually in those deals, you know, they're below market value. They're being the bank. So, and you just got to explain that to them. And what happens if you default? They get their house back and then they can sell it. Plus they already have all the money that you paid for. So they're being the lender. So yes, I would say the opportunity to continue buying is still out there.
And I agree. I look at it as needles and haystacks, right? In 08, 10, 11, there were haystacks and needles. Like there were houses, and right, we saw that you weren't for sale, for sale, for sale. Well, now there's the needles and the haystacks are a lot. And you have to go further out when you're talking the South and different markets. I'll suggest Real Wealth Networks, if anybody knows of it. Kathy Fedeke, she's a national speaker and has a company. Really good for the first-time investor because what they do is they'll vet out property managers in markets that are reasonable, meaning the purchase price is decent, the rents are strong, the markets are strong, the property manager can fix your property. Those property managers will have properties to share with you and give you a flyer and say, here's what the property is performing at. And so you can see your rate of return. She's only picking markets that are going to give you some decent rate of return. So they're a very good resource. They have seminars too. I recommend that. So yeah, is it still able to invest? Yeah, it's just a lot tougher. You just got to be a lot better on your numbers and understanding what you're doing. Eventually it'll come around. I mean, interest rates going up to me is good because we can't live at that low interest rate and these houses where they're at. It's not going to work. We got to drive up some rates, flush the market so we can have some investing. Like I stopped looking across the US because I got tired of just trying to find that little needle. It's not worth my time. So, but that's going to change eventually. And you're in a good time right now because if you learn like you're doing now and you start getting that knowledge, as this market starts to turn, you'll be armed with that knowledge and ready to buy. So that would be the suggestion. Kathy Fedeke and their company's called Real Wealth Networks. You can join for free. They're a great organization for first-time investors. Real Wealth Networks.
I know probably. I know we did real head and it connected to deal with the property managers. And I didn't want to go into my property manager. What does the bad experience with property managers?
Yeah, I'll just say it and then I'll turn it over. In Texas, I have found a property manager, and I'll say it through Wealth Networks. I mean, they vetted them. They were pretty good. Matter of fact, that's where I found my really good realtor. She's still with me today. That property management company, we started to realize that they had too many interests of their own. They were going to the property too many times. They were sending bills, too many bills. They were they were padding their numbers and we felt it. We're on top of our numbers, so we see it quick. It was simple. All we did was find another property manager and moved over. It's seamless. The tenants don't feel anything and anything like that. So, you know, you just have to be on it. The work when you're out of state is working on managing the property manager, thumbing through their bills. They all use something like Appfolio or Buildium or something. You thumb through every bill, every month, every expense, and you analyze. What does it mean? Why is it happening? What is it going to go back and ask questions? They need to know you're on top of them, and then you can run your numbers based on it. So.
Yeah, I would say, I had a bad experience, so I tried to, you know, I bought stuff in Georgia, I tried to do it in Houston and think it was gonna be the same thing, and a lack of responsiveness is key to me, and not knowing what's going on with my property, like, hey, it's been on the market for 25 days, how many shows there? Okay, is the price right? Maybe, you know, you can just kind of tell when somebody's not on their game, right? So, and you just, like you're saying, you just bet against somebody else. Yeah, and that's probably the worst experience I've had. Also, one more thing, and I'll ask you to take. When you guys, I would recommend, you know, in your corner, an accountant and also a lawyer. And also, I have all our properties in LLC. Reason by real quick, 20 seconds, it protects our other assets. So if a tenant falls and cracks their head wide open, they can sue the LLC. They're not suing the wall, right? You can have the properties, but I don't want you to touch my wife's 401k, my house in California, my stocks, mutual funds, and things of that sort. So quick and dirty of it, LLC properties in it, personal stuff, I have it in RNA, trust and all that other stuff. But yeah, you know, as you get developed, you go on and on and on. That's probably where you're going to start getting legal help and also a pretty badass accountant to kind of help crunch the numbers and see what you're doing is making sense.
I think communication, one of the worst things, you know, not getting a quick timely responses, especially if there's issues or others saying, getting billed excessively for things that shouldn't be happening, being overpriced.
Okay, one last.
Well, I've been by this stage. And how to suggest finding this is something I see it before should I just purchase under maybe one of the best in the market. How do we take that? cash.
Right.
So you have to do that. How do you know? That's a great question.
Is, I would say a combination. So I'll talk about the legal piece of it. So I bought originally in my name, and then I transferred everything over into the LLC as, you know, like other assets began to grow and all that stuff. The funding piece, I mean, yeah, you can take out a home equity. You could say, I would say do a little bit of everything. You know, home equity may be a good idea. Your own personal, maybe TSP or 401k, whatever you have, at your workplace. I would say maybe a combination of those things. But also what's key to it is the numbers. Like you have to analyze the numbers. If you're taking out a home equity and it's like crazy high, you go buy a house, when the payment is here and the rate you're gonna collect here, well, that doesn't make any sense, right? I know a lot of people like, well, I'm just feeding it. Well, you don't wanna feed, been there, done that with that too, like $8,000, $9,000, $1,500 on this property, right? You're losing money. You can go take that money and do something else. So I would say definitely analyze your numbers. And for me, I personally try to look at 5-year windows. Like, am I gonna have this property for at least 5 years as far as the long-term piece is concerned?
And I would add, the home equity, yeah, I ideally buy the house cash. So if you're doing an investor, you're coming in all cash, so you're gonna bump out anybody that's coming in trying to do a little. And so you can oftentimes get a better deal. So if you have a home equity, you can tap that. I would only use home equity for short term, meaning my thought would be buy that house with home equity with the thought that you're gonna refinance it on a long term, 30-year, 15, stuff like that, that you can afford. You know, even though the rates are 7, just push the price of the house down because rates went up. I could give you 85. Rates are at 7. I got to give you 72, right? And then so you buy it, and then you figure out what's 30% of 80. I need 24,000. Do I have that? Yeah. Then I'll get a loan. Now the key too is your loan. If you buy the house and you go for a loan right away, the bank's going to give you a loan on purchase price. If you wait 6 months and the market's trending up, they'll give you a loan on value on appraised. So a lot of times the markets are trending up, you hang out, you can drive your down payment total. And then, but I think that's gonna be, that's gonna be, when you come to the LLCs, my experience has been that you can put under, you can't get a loan under LLC. The bank will give you a loan under LLC, they'll give it to you under personal. But the thought is, and I might have done this, is once you have the loan, you can then transfer them to an LLC. The bank probably won't call them. And you get that level of protection. So there's just some nuances you got to play with and think about in advance, but that would be.
And it all goes back to the numbers, depending on the options that you have, whether it's a HELOC or pulling money if you have it available in a 401k or any other type of retirement fund. And then in terms of the LLC or personal, again, it depends what loan you're dealing with, who you're dealing with. In the past, like we've had brokers tell us, it's going to be X amount of dollars if you go to your LLC, or it's going to be X amount of dollars if you get it personal. So we've gone the route where we purchase a house under our name, but once we're closing, then we quickly claim it into our LLC. And it's moved over, it's protected, and it's going through the loopholes and saving ourselves some money there just by going through the process in a different direction.
That was so helpful. Who here got something out of this thing? Yeah, everyone. Yeah, this was incredible, you guys. Thank you. Walter, Dan, and Jose, thank you so much for your time on a Saturday morning. Thank you all for being here. And our next event like this is going to be in January, so be sure to keep a lookout for it. And again, I want to hear who got some good value out of this. Let's get some hoots and hollers, because this actually be
Thank you for having us. This is great. On a Saturday morning, just talking is free.
good.
Thank you for this so much.
Pleasure. For a little bit, if you guys want to grab these guys' contact info, they're going to be around for a little bit. Feel free to eat some more breakfast burritos, have some more champagne, and let's just break some bread together and enjoy each other's company. Thank you all so much. Thank you.
Thanks.
Nice to meet you. And so, good, seriously, amazing, yeah. Okay. I'm just gonna, your guys' brains